There are many more grounded birds than you might expect, but ducks aren't one of them. Some wild ducks can actually fly 50 miles per hour, but most are much slower due to their heft. The reason ducks may have this reputation is the steamer duck, of which 3 out of 4 species are flightless. Even the ones who can fly don't always pull it off. Some of the males are too heavy to actually achieve liftoff. According to Britannica, these South American ducks earned their name by running across water and thrashing their wings like the wheels on a steamboat. It's understandable that watching all your other duck pals fly off must be frustrating. Perhaps enough to give you anger issues, as steamer ducks are known to be mighty aggressive, engaging in epic, bloody battles with each other over territory disputes. "Don't feed the ducks" takes on a whole new meaning when you consider steamer ducks have been known to kill waterbirds several times their size. You'll never look the same way at that goldfish in a baggie again. The poor little guys have a memory span of at least 3 months, according to researchers at Plymouth University, long enough to remember being trapped in a sandwich bag. In fact, goldfish may even be able to tell time. By training fish to nudge a lever to get food at certain times of the day, the researchers discovered the fish would hover around the lever as feeding time approached, apparently recalling it was chow time. That saying may be appropriate when your son can't find the ketchup bottle right in front of his face, or your husband lost his car keys. But it wouldn't be fair to cast aspersions bats. Yes, says Live Science, bats hunt in the dark using echolocation, which means they use echoes of self-produced sounds bouncing off objects to help them navigate. But they can also see. Research indicates that bats sometimes prefer using eyesight to sound when hunting. And many fruit bats don't even echolocate at all. In fact, they have particularly sharp vision. Camel humps are an adaptation that helps the animal survive when resources are low, but they aren't sacks of water. Their humps are actually fat stores, which look droopy if the animal's bodies burn that fat when food is scarce. Camels can go for a long time without rehydrating, but that extra water is stored in their bloodstream, not their humps. Burying your head in the sand to ignore a problem sounds ridiculous, and ostriches would agree. When they're in danger, ostriches drop their entire body, neck, and head to the ground to make themselves less visible to predators. From far away, their necks blend in with the sand, so it could look like their head is underground, which could be where the myth came from. It's true that porcupines have quills. In Latin their name translates to pig quill, but they can't shoot them. In fact, the quills are mixed onto their back, sides, and tail and lay flat unless they are feeling threatened. Surprisingly, this prickly animal has hair that is quite soft. Perhaps the myth of porcupines shooting quills emerged because the quills do detach easily when touched. While you wouldn't want to bleed near a shark, a predator won't hunt you down if you're nowhere near it. Sharks do have an incredible sense of smell and can smell blood at 1 part per million, about a cup of water in a swimming pool, but that is far from sensing an ocean's worth of potential prey. Did some crafty bird decide to give birth in a nest under your deck or porch? No, you don't need to surround it with yellow warning tape to make sure no one touches the newborns. It's only folklore that birds will reject their young if humans touch them. If a bird's nest is disturbed by a potential predator during the nesting or egg-laying stage, there's a possibility that will desert and re-nest. Frank B. Gill, former president of the American Ornithologists Union, told Scientific American. However, once the young are hatched and feeding, by and large pretty tenacious. Birds can't detect human scents. Most have small and simple olfactory nerves limiting their sense of smell. But messing with the nest could still make your feathered friend flighty. The fact is, birds don't abandon their young in response to touch, they will abandon in response to disturbance. Explains biologist Thomas E. Martin of the University of Montana and the U.S. Geological Survey, who has handled birds from Venezuela to Tasmania without instigating abandonment. They are likely responding to disturbance in relation to risk of harm to young. So when in doubt, hands off the nest is best. If you're a seahorse, that is. Turns out in this seafaring family it's the guys who get pregnant and give birth to the young. Male seahorses have a brood pouch where females deposit their eggs. He then fertilizes the eggs and incubates them for a period up to 45 days, when they emerge as fully developed little seahorses. The new seahorse fathers even experience muscular contractions as they give birth. Seahorses get big when preggers, they can deliver 100 to 200 babies in one go. You do your best to avoid winged stingers, and with good reason. Bumblebees and yellow jacket wasps have mostly smooth stingers and can attack repeatedly. And if there's a European hornet that's buzzing around your yard, stay away. According to an article in Forbes, they don't even bother stinging you because they're large enough to bite with their jaws. Yikes. And then there are good old wood bees that burrow holes in your wood deck or home. Stick a finger in there and a female may sting you. But you're safe if it's a male wood bee. Poor guys don't have stingers. Turns out the only bee with a single sting is the honey bee. Once they get you, it's the big beehive in the sky for them. Forget those cartoons you've seen with possums lined up upside down on a tree branch. They actually make dens in trees, logs, rock crevices, and other cozy areas to sleep in. Baby possums can hang from their tails for a couple seconds, but adults are too heavy and only use their tails to help keep their balance while using their legs to climb. In Disney's 1958 documentary White Wilderness, the narrator says, "It said of this tiny animal that it commits mass suicide by rushing into the sea in droves." The voiceover claims the deaths are intentional, to keep numbers down during overpopulation. And the audience watches dozens of lemmings line up by a cliff and hurl themselves into the water below. That scene made the myth catch fire, but it wasn't the truth. Lemmings do sometimes fall off cliffs and die during mass migrations or drown if they can't make a long swim, but the filmmakers had imported the lemmings into Alberta, Canada. Then herded them off a cliff into a river, which you'd never see them do in nature. Surprise! Bulls are actually colorblind to red and green. What really gets them riled up during a bullfight is the cape's movement, and they're more likely to charge at an object that's moving the most, no matter what color it is. Red became associated with bulls because matadors use a red cape in the final stage of a bullfight. They likely picked the color to hide the blood after killing the animal, not to get it angrier. If you saw Finding Dory, the Pixar movie that followed the smash hit Finding Nemo, you might recall Hank, an octopus that can change colors to blend in with his surroundings. Had Finding Nemo been scientifically accurate, it would have been a very different movie. However, a mimic octopus is a real thing. It's an octopus that can take on the appearance of other creatures like flatfish or sea snakes without needing them nearby to model. They just remember. But the mimic octopus is not the only smart octopus. There's the story of Inky, a New Zealand octopus that escaped an aquarium via a drainage tube that led back to the sea. It was actually used as the basis for Hank's escape in Finding Dory. Increasingly, researchers who study octopuses are convinced that these boneless, Alien animals, creatures whose ancestors diverged from the lineage that would lead to ours roughly 500 to 700 million years ago, have developed intelligence, emotions, and individual personalities. Writes Cy Montgomery in an article in Orion magazine. Although not as cute and furry as a Labrador, an octopus also likes to play, which is another sign of intelligence. Despite the fact that they like dark, cozy places, you'd rarely find an earwig in anyone's ears. Admittedly, their name did come from an 18th century belief that the bugs buried into sleeping humans' ears and into their brains, causing pain, deafness, and even death. Of course, that turned out to be a myth. Now we know that they feed on plants and sometimes smaller insects, but they aren't dangerous to humans. The lizards do change colors, and those colors often match their environment, like if they're green and sitting among leaves. But they can't purposely match, say, a checkerboard tablecloth like you might see in cartoons. Instead, the color changes come when a chameleon changes its temperature or mood. The lizard might turn dark when it's feeling aggressive or pale to reflect heat when it's hot, but those colors have nothing to do with what's around the chameleon. Lions have gotten a bad rap for not helping out their ladies when it comes to hunting. But a new study reveals the king of beasts might be doing his share after all. According to NBC News, by combining GPS collars that track lions' movements with airborne light detection and ranging measurements that provide 3D maps of the landscape and vegetation, the research team was able to reveal that male lions are solitary predators who leap out of thick vegetation to ambush their prey. That's in contrast to the social hunting behaviors of lionesses that hunt in packs. And female lions live together for life. Their female cubs also stay with the pride, even after they're grown, but male cubs must venture out on their own once they reach maturity. So lions may still hunt as loners, but they're far from lazy. Earthworms have two distinct ends, a head and a tail. The head is on the end closer to its thick band, and the head can grow a new tail if it's cut below that band. The tail might wiggle for a little bit after you've cut it, but it won't be able to grow a new head to create a new worm. Their only exception is the planarian flatworm, which can regrow its body even from a slice 1/300th of its original size. It can even form a new head, complete with all its old memories, found a 2013 study. Lizards may appear as loners with not much going through their lizard brain except for when their next fly meal may come along. According to Wired magazine, these reptiles were assumed to be asocial and behaviorally simple. It seems lizards may be the misunderstood stepchild of the reptile world. Recent research has shown some lizards are devoted parents, and mates that can distinguish their kin from strangers. They can even recognize individuals. Many lizards spend the first few months of their lives in the company of their siblings or a family group, where they might learn important life lessons and skills. And it can be detrimental to their development when they don't have social interactions, according to researchers from the University of Sydney. It seems that reptiles, like humans, benefit from an early environment rich in social interaction. Although it was long believed that our furry companions had limited vision and only saw certain colors, it's not the case. Cats and dogs have much better color eyesight than we thought. Both can see shades of blue and green. In fact, cats have way more light-sensing cells or rods in their eyes than humans do, and that's why they can see better in low-light situations. Of course, that doesn't explain why they sometimes act that way they do. Admit it. You've crashed into a wall making your way to the bathroom during the night. That won't happen with a cat. According to Science ABC, they have an extra mirror layer at the back of their eye behind their retina, which means that the incoming light has two chances to hit the rods. In the human eye, if it misses, the light is absorbed in a black layer behind the retina, and is gone forever. Pups have less color-sensing cells in their eyes, so their color vision may be only 1/7 as vibrant as ours. According to the American Kennel Club, scientists believe that a dog's color vision is similar to that of a person who has red, green color blindness.